Our next guest, a political cartoonist, was just 12 years old when his work was first published in the Beano. At 16, he became the youngest cartoonist in Private Eye's magazine history. Now 18, he's drawn most world leaders, past and present, capturing the lighter side to politics and indeed its darkest. Rockman joins us now to talk about the launch of his new exhibition in the London restaurant Simpsons in the Strand. Really lovely to meet you. I mean, I won't tell you what I was up to when I was 12, 16 and 18 years old, but it certainly wasn't producing work of this quality. Explain to us how you got into illustration in the first place. There's a link with the Beano, in fact, isn't there?
Yeah, so I've been drawing ever since I could hold up a pen. But when I was around the age of 8, my family went to a car boot fair and we found a box full of old Beano comics. And I'd never actually seen a comic before, so I'd been drawing for as long as I could remember, and I liked to make up funny stories in my head, but I didn't know that you could put the two together in this medium. And so my parents bought them, and over the next few days I was reading them in my bed. My dad kept having to come into my room and tell me to go to sleep. And then I started drawing Dennis the Menace, Watcher the Dodger, and then I decided that I could have a go at doing my own characters. And then eventually, when I produced pages and pages of comic stories, I had enough to put them all together into my own comic.
And at 16, you became the youngest published cartoonist in Private Eye's history. Now, I know for a fact there is a very competitive process to get cartoons into Private Eye. In fact, to get them anywhere these days. So how did that come about?
So, basically, I've been doing the Beano for 4 years. And I noticed that some of the cartoons that I was submitting were a bit too old for their audience. And so I was thinking of new places to go to. And I'd been watching Have I Got News For You for quite a while. And so I knew about Ian Hislop and I knew about Private Eye. And I'm also interested in Peter Cook, who used to edit Private Eye. And so one of my latest comics was based on a Peter Cook and Dudley Moore sketch called What's the Worst Bloody Thing That Could Happen to You?
Yeah, I know that one.
And so I sent that to Ian Hislop with a covering letter saying, how do I get into Private Eye? And then he just sent me a letter back, giving me all the details. And it kind of just went on from there.
Well done, you.
And you've had some quite powerful cartoons in Private Eye, haven't you? One that stands out for me is Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament covered in the cladding. In the wake of the Grenfell Tower and tragedy. You've now got this exhibition at Simpsons in the Strand, your artist in residence there with your Winston Churchill illustrations. Yesterday, I was saying you had a press breakfast there to launch your exhibition, and then you headed straight off to college and back to reality.
Same thing today.
Yeah, so you're here and then you're off to college and you're doing an art foundation.
Yeah, at Central St Martin's.
What do your contemporaries think of your celebrity status?
It's just a bit surreal and a bit embarrassing for me, actually.
Modest to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, get used to it. And so, come on, take us through. I don't want to be too pretentious about it, but take us through the process. I mean, particularly when it comes to getting something in Private Eye. Is there an idea first and then you put pen to paper, or is it a bit more freeform than that?
Yeah, so what I generally do is, because Private Eye comes out every 2 weeks, and all the cartoons that I do have to be to do with current news stories, I usually come up with my ideas at the end of that 2 weeks, because otherwise there might be a massive news story that I come up with like a great joke for, and then it's just not relevant at the end of it, and it's just really annoying. So what I do is, at the end of that 2 weeks, I sit down with this massive drawing board and I write down all the top news stories, and I write down all sort of like the phrases that people are using. Politicians like to generally repeat the same phrases all the time, so
we've had a lot of that recently.
If I can like think of a play on words or something. Yeah.
Do you think that the working in this medium has made you more or less political?
Definitely more political, just because that's just the nature of the whole.
But don't you have to almost be able to have a pop at any of them on any given week? I mean, it's as likely that the muck-up is going to come from the opposition benches as the government benches these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Who's the easiest person? I mean, I'm just looking there. I'm just wondering who that might have been there. And that one, again, it's a mystery to me. Who's the most amusing to draw for you?
Definitely Boris, I mean, the hair. And then Trump with the hair as well.
Yeah, that was quite ungallant, wasn't it?
And also Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's very like blanky and a bit like a spider.
So you're looking out for certain characteristics in each individual?
Yeah, it's just picking out the main characteristics and then just blowing them.
Isn't there a certain comparison to be drawn between Jacob Rees-Mogg and a certain character from the Beano? I think amongst the Bastard. We'll leave it there. You guys can do your own research and you can find out about that. Zoom, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. The exhibition running at Simpsons in the Strand. Wish you all the best with it.
Thank
You've got a
you.
glittering career ahead. Thanks for joining us.
We'll let you get off to college.
Brilliant. You've got to run.
Coming up at 10 o'clock with Adam Bowden is, of course, All Out Politics. Morning, Adam. What have you got for us today?
Well, a treat coming up for Zoom and his cartoons. We're going to have a live news conference featuring Jacob Rees-Mogg. Of course, the European Research Group somewhat licking their wounds, as you've been pointing out in your interviews this morning,